Welcome to another race analysis. This is round 5 of the Super Series. I am racing in B grade or Cat 2 men. You may notice that there is a complete lack of footage from round 4. Round 4 kind of didn't happen. I signed up to the start line, decided to turn my camera on sort of, with an hour to go to the race, and then within about 2Ks I pulled out because I just didn't like the course. That's putting it pretty mildly. I thought the course was unsafe. More on that perhaps in another video. But for now, let's talk about this course. This is the Moonta Crit. This is an old favourite of mine. I've had some good results here over the years. I've had a couple of top 10s, I've had a couple of podiums, and I've had the win once, which was back in 2020, when I hit my all-time best power numbers coming through the last corner and towards the finish. This year's a bit different. This year I'm still a sprinter, but we've also got a really strong roller on the team, Jared Fife, and the plan today was for some of our stronger riders to just fire attacks up the road until one of them stuck, and then hopefully it was going to be the one with Jared in it. My role today was to sit back and hide in the pack, and if none of the big breaks got away, then I was going to be led out for the finish. And that's just about it. There's the first lap, and as you can see, it's a pretty standard 4-corner crit. There was a strong tailwind along the finish straight, along this line here, which made getting back up to speed pretty tricky, because if the guy on the front's doing 400 watts, you're also doing 400 watts in the tailwind. But it made catching up on the back straight nice and easy, and it was pretty easy to move up along that space. As you come around the first corner, there is a bit of a climb. It's not that steep. You'll see a lot of people getting out of the saddle and sprinting up it. I don't think I ever got out of the saddle on that climb. And then there's a bit of a drop in from here towards the third and fourth corners. The tricky part of this bit, this headwind bit, was that the road surface was really bad, and just across where the cross street is, it was really uneven. You're all up and down, and so it was kind of hard to keep a steady rhythm. This third corner was always tricky because everyone's slowing down, it bunches up, and the road surface isn't really confidence-inspiring, but if you hit it in the first 5 wheels at full speed, it's smooth as anything. And this last corner, there's a spoon drain just near the apex. If you turn late and hit the spoon drain just about parallel, it's a non-issue. And my favourite thing to do is to come out of there, sort of second or third wheel, and then sprint for the win. So there's the first 2 laps. Let's see what happens. So not even 10 seconds later, on lap 3, and right away you can see that there's attacks going off the front already. We're not in the attack at the front, but we're only in sort of 3 minutes into the race, and so at this stage I'm not worried about anything going off the front unless it's a big group. Now that attack didn't last more than a lap, and since then there's been dozens of attacks, individuals just going off the front, one after the other. Alistair, number 446, just ahead of me in the pink socks, he's just come back from an attack. Now the nice thing about these 2 corners just after the start-finish line is you can see everything that's going on up ahead, up the road. And so you can see if groups are going off the front, and you can see who's in them. And just as the group slows up here, I get up next to Alistair and tell him that we're not in that. So there's a group of about 5 or 6 up the road, and we're not represented. Fortunately, Black Chrome in the red kits and a couple of other teams weren't represented, and they actually pulled that one back for us, which is nice. So a couple of minutes later, we're on a preem lap, and so the pace has gone right up. It's strung out nicely, and I like it when it's strung out like this. It's a lot easier to navigate around. I've got Jared in my wheel, and so we've moved to the front a bit closer. And as always, after a preem lap, you can see Alistair in the pink socks. He's been doing some work keeping it fast. After a preem lap, usually slows down a little bit. Sure enough, the pace comes out, and just sneaking away on the right there. This is after a whole bunch of attacks. There goes Jared off the front. Alistair's still right up there on the front, and he does something really clever. He just lets the wheel go. 1, 2, 3 guys, 4 guys go across with Jared, and Alistair just looks like he's working hard, looks like he's holding out the parachute, and off goes the brake. Now I didn't know it at this time, but the composition was really good. There was a Mood, a Villawood, Black Chrome, and a Holdfast, and these are probably, with the exception of Van Dam, probably all the strongest teams competing at the moment. Norwood Red has got some super strong riders in it as well. They weren't represented in this, but with the perhaps four of the stronger teams represented, it was always going to be up to Norwood to do most of the work to pull it back. And we're sitting pretty. We've got exactly what we want. Our probably strongest rollers off the front in a group of 4. And now it's up to us to disrupt the chase as much as possible. Now I think Norwood might have missed a trick here, because within a lap that lead had absolutely ballooned out. We're going up the hill now. My heart rate's down in the 150s again, which is only just about, tempo heart rate for me. And they're just about a quarter of a lap ahead. The commentator was saying that it was something like a 300-metre gap when we went past the start-finish line. But whatever happened, the 4 of them eked out a massive gap really quickly. All while the rest of our team are sitting prettily at the back, just letting other teams do the work. So after a few laps where it was at times really easy and at times really surgy, things kind of settled into a bit of a rhythm. Here we've got Norwood Red setting a tempo on the front, trying to chase things down. But lined up right behind them, you have a Black Chrome rider, you've got a Villawood rider, you've got a Holdfast rider. Everyone here is represented at the front. A couple of times there were some teammates chasing teammates. So Villawood here, who's just ahead of me, he put in a couple of really big efforts which seemed to try to pull the race back, which is crazy. They've got Andrew Tidswell up in the break, so they've got no reason to be working hard here. At this point he's just following. It looks like Lol Shaw's just coming back into the race after a lap out. Norwood Blue's pulling turns, but then the rest of us are just lining up, marshalling and making sure there's no real cohesion. Actually, I think right here the Villawood rider does exactly the right thing. The Norwood Blue pulls over and flicks the elbow, and he just refuses to pull through. And then with Villawood, Mood, which is me, and Black Chrome just behind, none of us are going to pull a real turn. I help on the front. I just sit at threshold, wanting to sort of stay first into the corner, but I'm certainly not going to be doing any serious efforts. And then Holdfast lights it up at the front, and this is crazy. I don't know why he's chasing. Holdfast has got a rider up in the break, Thibaut Grizzard's up there, and this is a serious effort. He knows I'm there. It's not an attack. He's not trying to solo bridge. It looks like he's trying to close it, and I've got no idea what he's doing. I'm quite happy just to sit on at this point. I mean, this is the headwind bit, so it's costing me very little. I mean, I'm doing 300 watts sitting in his draft, so he's absolutely hammering this, but rather be doing it there than into the headwind myself. And this effort is serious and sustained. He keeps going and keeps going and going. I don't really know what else to say about this. This is lesson number 1, don't chase your teammates. He's chasing his teammates. I mean, he does an entire lap and a half before, you can see everyone lined up behind him 4 wide into the headwind section. No idea what that was all about. I hit the front here, and as you can see, I'm working really hard, 230, 250 watts. I'm making it look like I'm labouring, and then Alistair comes through on my right, and as he looks over to me, I give him the cheesiest grin. I'm having a great time, doing absolutely no work, making it look like we're holding the front. But at this point, the race is pretty much gone. The breakaway is not in sight, even around the long straights. And so, we're ready to just sit back, take it easy, and see how the end of the race turns out. Alright, so jumping forward to the end of the race here, we are about 3 laps to go to the end. I've decided to start moving up, and my teammates are starting to come around just to make sure that, we're there for a shot for the bunch kick. The brake's gone. There's absolutely no intensity. It hasn't been for the last 5 minutes. And so we're just marshalling near the front. I've got Jordan ahead of me, Lampy the Beard just behind me, and then this guy from Black Chrome. Look at the guy just ahead. 1, 2, and he takes himself out. And it is everything that I can do not to end up in that. Let's have another look at that. So we've just gone over the bump in the middle. The pace usually kicks off around here as people try to move to the front for the corner. And we'll just have a look in slow motion. You can see him here. He comes across, he's looking looking the wrong way. He chops his front wheel and down he goes in front of me. Jordan just ahead of me does an amazing job getting around him, but this bike's going left, right, everywhere. and I'm just about at a full stop in the wrong gear, and there goes the race ahead of me. So after that little calamity, I gave her all she got. I mean, this is my race. This is the race that I do well in. The classic four-corner crit with a bit of a hill in the middle of it, plenty of time to recover. This is me all the way. But unfortunately, I kind of gassed myself getting back on. Adam dropped back to help me get on, but you can see even in his draft, and I mean Adam's like 6.5 feet tall and he's got a 1,000 watt FTP. Even sitting right in his draft, I'm still pushing threshold trying to get back on. Jordan's also dropped back to bring us back, and then it's time to try to move up through the pack. But we've just now had, I think that was, I think that might have been 1 lap to go. No, sorry, that was 2 laps to go. And I'm cooked. Just trying to get back on. That was my sprint, just about. And then in this headwind section, Jordan does a good job trying to move me up. But I've already spent a couple of biscuits. And as you can see, the race has absolutely lit up. I had a chat with Frank from Norwood Red after this. He said with 2 laps to go, they just hammered it on the front, and the pace went up from there. And so now we're coming into the last lap. I'm on a teammate's wheel, but I am at the absolute back of the pack, and it's a tailwind down here. Now, if it was a headwind here, then having a teammate would have been fantastic. But as you can see, I'm doing 800, 900 watts nearly in the draft behind an absolute monster watt machine, and we're moving up 1, 2, 3 places, and that's it. The front of the race is, well, in front of this bunch anyway, is already going around the corner. I take a bit of a slingshot. I get a little bit squeezed on that corner, but I've been doing 800 watts for the last 15, 20 seconds, and coming up the hill, I just cannot see any way that I'm getting to the front of this race. I slot in, and gaps start opening up in front of me, and I think right about now is when I just call it. I'm doing 450 watts, gaps are ahead of me, and it's like, nah, the race is over. There's no point sprinting for 20th, and with those gaps and my heart rate in the 190s, that is the race. So unfortunately at that point I sat up. Like I say, no point sprinting beyond that, and we rolled in just to finish the race. So it's a real pity. I was with sort of 2.5 laps to go. I was in a good spot. I had teammates around me. You saw how strong Adam was when he was towing me back to the bunch. I had Aiden ahead of me. I had Jordan, who seems to be able to read a race really well, and he's a fantastic pilot. You can see him sprinting off there just for shits and giggles. But unfortunately, that's what happens. It's racing, and sometimes that's it. Fortunately, though, Isaac tells me that Jared got the win. So we did take the dub from the race. Jared opened up his sprint from the last corner, which is exactly where you need to go from. And so we took home first, got the dub, and that launched Jared up into the top 3, I think, on the overall standings. We've got the Kermesse next week. Jared's another one. It's another race that suits Jared, so fingers crossed he could get right up there and potentially take the lead in the GC of the series. So that was a bit of a fun one until suddenly it wasn't. But thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.